Welcome to Double Header Night. That's right, it's Tuesday, so once again we got twice as much OPL action coming your way. Hello everyone, I'm Jake Spawn Tiberi. Joining me on the desk for tonight's game is LPL analyst, OPL enthusiast, and general awesome person, Indiana Frosker in black, as well as the real pastry time down there on the end. How are we going, guys?
Is that the real pastry time?
It is, apparently, and he's doing excellent.
You going all right?
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
That's good. Before we get into tonight's matchups, let's take a look at the standings. Just to remind you guys where everyone's sitting right now. It is Legacy currently on the top of the ladder. They're still undefeated, 5-0. And your OPL legends, Direwolves, are right behind them with the Chiefs, who will be playing against our fourth place Hellions tonight. Sin Gaming picked up a win last night. Trident, Infernum, and Invite will round out the ladder there. Let's just remind you of what the week looks like, however, because last night we had a really close game. It was Sin taking down Avant in a 2-1 victory in the end. Of course, tonight it is our game of the week with Chiefs taking on Hellions first up before OPL legend match Legacy versus Infernum tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. It will be Trident going up against the Direwolves. Very, very exciting matchups. I just want to throw it open to you guys, quickly. I don't get to have you on the desk for tomorrow night. Trident are going to play against Direwolves. I made an outrageous prediction that might be wrong. What are you looking forward to the most tomorrow night about that matchup?
Did you predict that Trident was going to win?
I did.
Oh, interesting.
That is outrageous.
Interesting.
Is it very outrageous?
Yes.
There you go. I also thought it was outrageous, but I think it has a chance to come through. Let's get straight into tonight's matchup, though. It is the game of the week. It's going to be the Hellions versus the Chiefs, and it will be the Chiefs starting on the blue side of the Rift. As you can see, Swiper is their top laner, Spooks is their jungler, Cheese their mid laner, Radier and Ejim is your all-star bottom lane. This team was a team that was struggling pastry time, but had a very good week last week. Want to get your thoughts on how their performance was?
Yeah, it feels like the Chiefs are really stepping back up, sort of into their old form now. It's been great to watch them play. The Chiefs are sort of feeling like their old selves, adapting with Cheese, and honestly looking a whole lot better.
Yeah, it certainly does seem to be the case. And across the other side of the Rift, on your red side, at least for game number 1, it will be the Hellions. Ryu, their captain and top laner. Cookie and Bomb are their jungle and mid lane duo from Korea. Frey and Denian will be their bottom lane. This is a team that kind of has been all over the place still for Oscar, and they haven't really found any consistency.
Well, yeah, but the thing is the Chiefs, we've already seen the ceiling of the Chiefs. We know exactly how good they're going to be. Now it's just a question of, how good is Cheese going to get and how well is he going to work within that team to its full capacity. But the Hellions, we haven't seen full capacity for them yet. And so I still have hope because we're definitely seeing upward trends where they're just getting better. It's just a question of how long will it take before they're in their final form.
So that's the question I want to throw open to the desk first. What does full capacity Hellions look like? Because we keep saying this. We keep saying big upside, like this is a team we expect a lot out of, but they haven't got there yet. What does that mean?
It means the support. I think we were talking about this before the desk, that Denium is effectively the Batman of supports. He's the one that they deserve, but not the one that they need.
Yeah, and I kind of echo that sentiment here. Denian is a fine player. He was a good AD carry when he was playing competitively, but he was supposed to be an analyst for this team. Denian is not a bad player strictly, but he's not the optimal choice for the team. And it feels like if you want to be a top-tier team, you need top-tier players across the board. We know Hellions are reaching big, and they sort of need everything else to be in a row. So with a couple things here and there, still working things out, definitely growing pains as well. Hellions are just never going to reach the top spots until they start shaking things up. Whether that's Denian improving or a change being made, we don't know yet.
Yeah, and that definitely looks to be the case tonight because he's going up against who is a very good support in Egypt.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the other point that I wanted to bring up is the fact that, unfortunately, he's also facing across from Egypt, who's super bloodthirsty. So you have kind of the old god versus the new blood in terms of your 80 carries, Radier. But the support matchup is just such a disparity.
So what do we think about this AD carry matchup? Because you mentioned it, Frey versus Radier. It is kind of the new guy versus the old guy. Frey's been very vocal. He's not really frightened of anyone as an AD carry. Should you be frightened of Radier?
I don't think so, to be honest. And with the way Frey and Hellions play, all Frey really has to do is just play very solid and kind of get his team through. He loves just attacking the front lane. He's a really consistent player. Radier was known for being hyper-consistent as a player, just last hitting constantly, getting farm, and then carrying fights. Just by hitting the front line, like what you're supposed to do as an AD carry. I feel like Radier has since stepped up since then and just become a great all-rounder. But Frey is kind of where Radier was playstyle-wise a couple of years ago, and I feel like he's filling his niche properly. There's no need to be afraid of Radier, because if you do your job, he's not going to take over the game unless you do something really silly in bottom lane.
That's still such a terrifying 2v2 lane to be a part of, however, especially because of how bloodthirsty they are. And if Denium, his signature support right now is Janna, so it's already a very passive, you just kind of sit back in farm lane. Moving on to the 6.3 patch, obviously Kog'Maw is going to be a big pickup, and even though Kog'Maw's not necessarily known for his lane phase, I still think his level 6, I mean, Jake, we've talked about this, the execution execution now on the 6, he has so much kill pressure in lane that before he really didn't have.
Yeah, it certainly is the case. However, guys, we have heard from the players a little bit before this game. I want to pull it up on your screen because talking to someone who isn't scared, it's Ryu, the top laner of Hellions. In fact, he says that he's visualizing himself destroying Radier tomorrow, and Swiper can wait for another time. It didn't stop there, however. Like, this continues. Radier bites back with a little bit. Where was the All-Star camaraderie? Of course, Swiper was a person that pretty much sent Ryu to All-Stars as well. Ryu had a very good time, but, you know, Radier and Aegin being there didn't allow that. And he said, you know, it was good when it lasted, but play Jinx, I dare you. So he's actually, like, not pulling punches here. Radier finally gets the last say. I feel this is where it ends. He's like, I'm the final boss. Get through Swiper first. I feel like Radier is the only person in Oceania, by the way, that spells Swiper's name correctly when you have to type it with double R and a 3. But what do you make of that? The Hellions captain top laner feeling very confident, not even looking at his lane matchup, who is Swiper and a great player in his own right, targeting out Radier there as the AD carry.
I mean, it's clearly identified the right solution, right? Is kill the Radier and get everything going. Like, that's always been a good strategy against the Chiefs. For me, though, I love this top lane matchup. They're both excellent players. Swiper has shown that he can play carry. He played multiple Fiora games in a row and then swapped to Nautilus last week. So he's definitely a chameleon top laner. He's always been able to play whatever he needs to play. Ryu right now, though, is strictly a carry top laner right now. And I think carry versus carry, that'll be interesting to see. But Swiper brings more to his team currently than Ryu does. So we'll have to see if Ryu can maybe get in there, really lock some AD carries down, or just carry hard. Because it is hard enough to get through Swiper, let alone to get to final boss Radier.
I'm also not about ganking the Janna lane. Like, that's just not typically something that goes well.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't seem to be the case. What I want to look at, though, is as we isolate this, there is one person that sticks out probably more than even Denian on his roster. It is Cheese and the additions that the Chiefs made. We were very harsh on Cheese. Like, in fact, people were saying no Swiffer, no clue. The Chiefs cannot play without the star mid laner and captain. I think we're starting to come around to the Cheese way of life here on the desk.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of people have been Cheese fans with good reason. He's such a fun player to watch play. For me, I think Cheese is becoming much more like Swiffer was, and the Chiefs feel like they're falling back into patterns that have worked for them, which makes sense. Like, play the successful formula. That's what you should do as a team. But I think Cheese, who's starting to play a bit more conservative, a bit more Chiefs style, and the Chiefs have said this themselves. But on the other side, Cheese still just does Cheese things, and I love it. I think he's just becoming more of a well-rounded player, and he's starting to really step up. Yes, he can play conservative, can play control meters when he has to, but man, does he go off when he wants to. It's just so much fun to watch.
Yeah, certainly. He's going to be facing off against Bomb, someone that you've been very vocal in some of your criticism. Did last week impress you at all in the meantime, or is he still that laning mid laner that you don't really like to see?
No, see, I love Bomb. I actually really enjoy watching him play. My issue with Bomb is that he's not as influential in his team as his team really needs him to be, because he's such a mechanically strong player. I just wish he would get involved with his team more. The 1v1 between Cheese and Bomb I actually really like, because I think they're both really strong mechanical players, and we can see that some of that fantastic outplay potential. But for Bomb and for Hellions to find success, he just needs to spread around the wealth.
Yeah, he certainly does. Guys, just before we jump into the game, want to get your final thoughts. Who's going to win this one and why? Pastry time starting with you.
I think Chiefs just feel like the stronger team right now. They're both growing, but Chiefs have grown a little faster. Even though Hellions are a strong team, I think they will take a game because they're good at challenging top talent, and I want to see them do it here, but I think it's still Chiefs 2-1.
Frostgurn?
Yeah, I actually agree that it's 2-1 for the Chiefs. I think right now the Hellions just look a little bit too one-dimensional, and we already know that the Chiefs are a more versatile team.
Yeah, I said that this comes about 2 weeks too early for the Hellions, but I'm really excited to see if they can step their gameplay up to the next level. And we're about to find out because the players are ready. So here's Atlas and Rusty to get us into the game.
Thank you very much, Spawn. I am, of course, Atlee, joined by Rusty. Rustless? I was trying to figure that one out. I just didn't quite get there. Okay, tonight's matchup, of course, the Chiefs versus Hellions. Another thing that I want to talk about, 6.3.
Yeah.
No rise, Ryu. Deleting that room page, he tweeted about it, and Cogmore Gragas looking incredibly strong. I have to say, this looking like on paper it's favoring the Chiefs.
You could say that. Of course, the Rise being deleted actually frees up a lot of drafting phase here for teams to play against Hellions by not having to ban the champion. So, yeah, it makes life a bit harder for Hellions. Of course, Ryu has shown he's a very capable Fiora champion such as that. And speaking of, quite heavily contended between these top laners.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. Of course, Swiper's been pretty keen to pick up the champion as well. Of course, I believe Ryu's played like, what, 3 champions? Gangplank Fiora being sort of the most predominant of those ones. And Gangplank is actually going to be banned away first up here on the blue side as Cogmore, no surprises, is going to leave the Rift on the side of Hellions, and Fiora actually going to be taken away. So just the full target on Ryu.
And it makes sense. Of course, Rise doesn't need to be banned. Gangplank, Fiora, both very strong champions. Fiora in particular, though, is that target ban from Ryu taking it away from him. Swiper saying that he's confident with his champion pool, sending a message essentially to Ryu saying, what can you actually play?
Well, he's going to have to play something new because all of the champions that he's played so far in the OPL have been banned. So we'll see whether he's going to be able to make that change. And look, you can see Kog'Maw, Gragas, both of these champions getting buffed. Spook's a fantastic Gragas player historically, and we all know about Radier, and Kog'Maw seems to love the champion even when he wasn't necessarily strong. So, man, already having to fill up that ban list with those champions. Kassadin banned away from Bomb there as well to round things out for the Chiefs. As Swiper hovering a pony for some fun. I don't think that one's going to be locked in, but I'm really excited to see how these draft phases are going to adapt for both of these teams.
Yeah, a lot of strong champions available, so Hecarim's the unlikely option here, as you mentioned, of course. Elise even something worth considering. Yeah. Spooks shows he's very control-heavy, plays around the map, but the Swiper special.
Yep, there it is. Of course, Swiper just loves to be able to play like massive, beefy tanks in the top. I was actually watching his stream just the other day, and he's like, just come at me, you can't kill me anymore because I'm Nautilus. It's hilarious. And anyway, Kalista is going to get through. I actually feel like that might have been an oversight on the side of the Chiefs because Frey now going to be able to pick that champion up. Of course, dangerous in the hands of Radier, and it is going to be Cookie taking away the Nidalee at the same time. So Hellions really biting back hard.
That is the strong first draft from the Hellions. The red side drafting, being able to get 2 champions at once, cements them probably top 3 jungler at the moment, and definitely top 3 AD carry besides the Kog'Maw perhaps at the moment. And it's less so even, it's a contrasting difference, right? The Kog'Maw Raider is just going to put out the damage. The Kalista is set your support up, throw them in, and let you do as much damage as you can whilst you're getting a better team fight from it. So differences here from Hellion showing by having the Kalista, they're capable of team fighting as well. The rest of the comp, doesn't matter as much. You can throw a Janna in so as a knockup, right?
Yeah, it's a very good point. And look, another thing that I was going to say is whenever Denian is playing something that isn't Janna, he basically just gets himself completely out of position and dies. I mean, I don't want to badmouth the guy, but he really does like getting out there. Rumble is going to be picked up. What?
I was waiting for the reaction. There you go. Yeah, Rumble can jungle. Just so you know.
He's got a skin that's called Rumble in the Jungle, Rusty. I know that he can jungle. Otherwise, why would we have that skin in the game?
Rumble can jungle without dying.
Did you play on a team with Papa Smithy?
Yes.
Yeah. So I know that he can jungle as well.
Might be corruption, right? But either way, Rumble. Look, he can jungle Atlas. Okay, that's the point I'm making.
Okay, that's a flex. Oh God, what are they doing? I personally don't know, but Hellions are just going to ignore it for now and pick up their champions. We'll see what they do decide to lock in. As Yasuo is being looked at by Bomb. Not entirely sure whether it will be locked in. As of course, Denian's Janna is of course there. Not a champion that is likely to get caught out on. Of course, he's played the majority of his games on the champion. In fact, every single win that the Hellions have got, I believe, has been with Janna as support.
Wow.
And Quinn's been locked in.
That draft from Hellions is so not teamfight oriented though. They've got a Nidalee for the poke.
That's a really good point. The last champion that Ryu played was Quinn. So not all of his champions were banned. I lied. I got Spawn looking at me from across the room actually. He's just saying, oh yeah, see, I knew. This man knows everything about Ryu.
Again, look, have a look at the Hellions 4-man lineup at the moment. Take note of the crowd control that they have on their roster. They're not looking to directly run at Chiefs is the answer. They're looking to have the Chiefs run at them.
There's
if they have a team
two
fight.
buttons. I think there's 3 buttons that they can do as far as like knock back or knock up or stun.
Yeah.
That's not looking great, is it, as far as the CC is concerned? Well, we'll see exactly what the Chiefs are going to answer with, because, of course, the Rumble is confusing the heck out of me. It can be the Nautilus in the jungle as well, or Nautilus in the support position, but Lux is going to be locked in, so Cheese is going to be playing that one there in the mid lane. It is going to be Alistair, of course, support. Not going to do any cow in the top lane. And
have you worked it out yet?
Yeah, you figured. It is going to be Rumble in the jungle, isn't it? I'm just like, I was hoping not to have to get there. There's Denian with the cheeky little hover, of course, former teammate Cheese on YSSC. So, yeah, and actually, yeah, that's the other thing as well. Producer in the air saying that Ryu did, in fact...
he tweeted, he said,
tweeted.
Play Jinx, I dare you. But, of course, I was looking at the Chiefs team comp. Rumble in the jungle, Nautilus top, and they're going to have an AP carry mid lane. Cheese prefers to be an AP carry. Even Ari is his go-to assassin, which means that Raider had to be a heavy AD carry.
Yep.
But it also means that 4 of the team are going to be doing magic damage. So if they can keep Raider down, there is merit to Ryu's other tweet, the strategy, disregard Swiper, kill Raider.
Well, and he's also got a bird jetpack, and you can definitely do that by just roaming around the side and just jumping right on top of the Jinx's face. We'll see whether the peel is going to be good enough because, of course, Swiper has a whole multitude of CC as well as Ejim there on the Alistar. So, of course, the protection for this Jinx is definitely there, but now Bomb's locked in the Ahri. So there's going to be so many different fronts that he has to be careful of.
There is basically laning phase for the Hellions.
Okay.
Quinn wants to rotate, utilize the map, and pick people off in random positions. Ahri's probably just going to want to stay mid and assassinate the lane opponent or whoever's dealing with
Ahri,
the Ahri, right?
Bomb, I mean, both of them probably just want to stay mid,
and
don't
this
they?
kind of plays to Hellion's strength, but then the bottom lane is reasonably self-sufficient. It's not exactly the Thresh-Kalista combo, but Ajana's quite good at keeping Kalista alive. Kalista very good at ensuring Janna comes back, use the ultimate, pull in with safety. Can't really kill that bottom lane from the Hellions.
Yeah.
Which means it's almost predictable where the focus will lie from the Chiefs.
Well, we'll see exactly how it is going to work. But, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you guys think because, of course, this has been an interesting champion select. Rumble in the jungle. I want you guys to let me know. Use that hashtag IamOPL, get on Twitter, and share your thoughts because I haven't seen Rumble in the jungle since a Troll normal game a long time ago. So, like, I don't know.
LCK played it not long ago, Atlas.
Well, look, I
for reference.
haven't been able to watch the old LCK. But ladies and gentlemen, we actually did hear from Ryu and Ejim earlier on, and we are going to throw to that video before the game.
At this stage, I guess, Carbon said in his interview, like he thinks in 1 year, 2 years, maybe max, teams will get left behind. I think that's definitely a thing. Like once the meta game shifts into team houses, like once more teams start picking up team houses, like obviously those that don't have them will get left behind. We're not going to let ourselves do that.
Swiper Stealthix has to duke it out as Cheese kills Miffy's off the other side. That's another kill there, a double for Radiant, making a triple as they go crazy in the bottom lane.
In any sport, if there's a team aspect to it, you have to have that trust. You have to have that cohesion. You have to have that, bond between teammates to actually perform. A lot of the game is based on mentality, emotion, teamwork, trust, communication, and that kind of stuff can't be improved on like online as much as in real life.
Gets caught out, a massive knock-up though from Denian as he gets the re-engage, and it's a double kill immediately from Bomb, who's just going nuts. Triple kill, make that a quadra!
The Hellions Gaming House, as far as I've heard, is a bit of a meme. Like people have equated like the Legacy Gaming House and the Hellions Frat House. They had people come and go. I don't know the inner workings of that team, but kicking T-Gun was, in my opinion, a huge error. Bringing in an 80 carry main as support like really hurt them. Denian actually doesn't compare. And the funniest thing is that he actually knows that. And so he just plays Janna like every single game. They just like mask their problem in the bot lane.
Looking for it, another massive knock-up comes in as Deathmark comes down as well. Malaz looking for some taunts but doesn't quite find it. Ryu, massive!
We're actually evolving at a much faster rate than we expected, so we're definitely happy with where we are at the moment. We're definitely closer to the top than we thought we would be.
Massive zone, Bomb gets hooked out of the air, but he is going to move in for it. First kill down onto Addition, the Dragon goes over to Hellions as well.
I think we are the stronger team, but we lost a game to AV, so let's try not to do that again.
Well, he's not going to be able to lose a game against AV today because, of course, he's against the Hellions. But Ejim, there was some strong words about the Denian and T-Gun situation. Yeah. But I did love hearing from Ryu there, understanding that they're not yet at their full form, but he's very proud of his team for where they're currently sitting. As Cheese and Bomb are going to find each other in the mid lane here as we have stepped onto Summoner's Rift.
And of course, Ryu has shared his knowledge about last time he's played the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's been 8 months since I played against the Chiefs in a competitive game. We'll never forget the Camp Chief spooks gave me when I first joined OPL. Oh, the poor guy. It was a long time ago.
It was, but of course, Spooks even responded saying it was cozy in the top lane. So we'll see how cozy it is this time around. As Swiper just really wanted to show off how flashy Nautilus is.
That's why you press enter before you start typing.
Press D to dance.
Yeah. I think he was about to type, find me, I'm in top jungle, but accidentally just didn't press enter. Oh, here it is.
Oh, given the 1-2 punch.
Oh. And sick plays. Look at that. Glowing, suits his armor there as well. I couldn't imagine a more flashy play at the start of the game.
Hellions, by the way, they were talking about the rapid improvement that they are experiencing even though they're not in their final form. And what's most interesting to me about that is how quickly they have genuinely improved.
Yeah.
Cookie was considered by himself the Korean Juice. And what that means is he was stuck in Diamond, right? But he's currently the second highest rated player on his team by 1 game at 360 LP in Challenger. So clearly the rapid increase of skill from Cookie is noted. The only person ahead of him is Bomb.
Yeah, most definitely. It did seem like he struggled a little bit earlier on. But
Raider.
speaking of struggling, yeah, Raider getting a lot of sticks poked into him by Frey as they have hit that level 2 mark. Danian tanks a turret shot, though. That may be a negative.
Frey didn't red.
Yeah, didn't quite get into range there as Raider once again. Man, the damage early game out of this Callista at level 2. Not something the Chiefs are able to handle right now.
Also surprising amounts of bonus damage. Janna's auto attack is quite unpredictable, and you have to remember the Callista passive aiding in that trading.
Yeah. Well, Radiant has managed to weather the storm. There's another tweet in from Cookie this time. I heard Chief Spooks is allergic to Cookie.
It's just adorable.
It is.
Every time.
Oh, man. You guys have got to follow Cookie on Twitter, by the way. If you're not following Cookie on Twitter, then you're missing out, because that man's tweets are brilliant. Cheese just farming up here against Bomb. We'll see whether Bomb is going to go aggressive like he did last week on the Ahri. Fantastic performance.
Yeah.
He's just going to eat Elusive Singularity.
Laning-based mid laner, of course, Bomb. Frostgrone even alluding to the fact that he very rarely leaves his laning phase, but if you win it, why not, is the question that I would have to bring up here.
Yeah.
Especially being in an Ahri and Lux matchup.
Oh, actually, Cheese is going to hit the first skill shot. Is going to be responded in kind by Bomb there as he immediately eats himself a biscuit.
You can never trade even with an Ahri. You have to remember the passive is actually the most underrated and potentially overpowered aspect of a kit.
Yeah, true.
Because you heal with that spell vamp every 9 spells for a ridiculous amount.
Especially if you can throw it across a bunch of creeps and a person. But Cheese is navigating the lane well, and when he does get that shield, things are going to be a whole lot better. As you can see, Bomb still taking harassment, regardless of the sustain.
Has that passive up, though, just hasn't opted into using it.
He's holding
Of course,
on to
you
it.
have to be careful with mana usage this early in the game as a mid laner.
Bomb there, you can see, he gets a bunch of that health back. But she's probably just looking to scale up throughout this early game, not wanting to go too toe-to-toe, as Spook's going to find Cookie and immediately backs away. A lot of respect given to this Nidalee.
Absolutely. Of course, he's still a Rumble. Now, it may be a new jungle pick that is quite strong at the moment. Doesn't necessarily make it the best level 4 duelist in comparison to a Nidalee, so definitely has to show respect and back off, even smiting the Wolf Spirit.
Yeah, he's going to spot Cookie out there as well.
As he should be.
You can see Swiper actually falling behind just a little bit as there's the engagement in the bottom lane. Zap comes through as the Pierce is going to follow up, but Egypt's just going to tank that one. Nice Howling Gale from Denian. That big minion wave means that Hellions aren't going to continue the engagement.
And of course, we are looking towards a level 6 power spike on a Rumble. It's natural to say.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this. It's sort of the easiest thing to talk about. The level 6 power spike.
Yeah, once the equalizer is available to be put down, you can't see it coming. No one can ping the top laner is missing. There's also this added bonus of a Flash Alice style headbutt hold combo will be on top of the equalizer, or the Nautilus ultimate can do the exact same thing. Guarantees their displacement.
Well, speaking of guaranteeing, there's the Rend onto Radier, making sure that he's slowed down. Ejim tanking a little bit more as Denian keeping Frey shielded up. It's Callista doing some work, but Radier farming up, as you'd expect, pretty nicely. And there's the charm missing in the mid lane, but Light Binding not going to find the target either.
No, it does miss, of course. Just trying to be pokey and a little bit cheesy in this middle lane between them all. Get small advantages where they can, but it's that first recall where the power does start to build up in this middle lane. Same with the bottom lane when you get the BF sword from Raider.
Yeah.
Trading starts to go back a little bit more in their favor.
Speaking of which, that has just been picked up. Slight CS lead as Frey is going to head back to base now as well. Grabs himself that recurve bow. And speaking of basing, Cheese is going to go back as well. Possibly answer with a Fiendish Codex of his own, as that's what Bomb's returning to lane with. Oh, actually going for the Chalice, so getting a little bit more that resistance just to
Remember,
make sure that he survives.
This patch, they changed the cost efficiency of Athene's Unholy Grail.
Ah, true.
Same with the Morellos, which is why a lot more players are going both of those items over the Frost Queen's claim.
Finally, supports are like, yes, we get our item back. Radio going to continue shoving this one forward. Of course, that's a huge wave, sorry, that Frey is going to be able to pick up. So probably going to at least even out, possibly eclipse that CS. Spooks has hit that level 6 mark.
And Ryu as well.
Yeah, they know exactly what's going on, of course. Ward down, so Spooks gets himself out of the area. But Barmy Cinder's now done for Swiper there on the top side, so he's going to have no trouble pushing out. They really want this invade on the side of the Hellions on the blue buff.
I'm not entirely for this invade if Nautilus manages to rotate. In fact, even Lux can get the ult from here. Spooks is trapped though.
Yeah, they're still going
He has to
aggressive. As you
flash.
can see, Cheese hanging out. There's the equalizer. Massive damage on the 3 members of Hellions. And in comes Swiper. Huge knockoffs. The CC from everywhere out of the Chiefs as Cheese. He's coming around. Spooks may fall down, but first blood goes to Cheese. Ryu flashes right after the auto attack as he locks down the kill, but laser beam. And Cheese is going to grab a double.
Cheese picks up an easy double kill. Bomb is potentially in trouble here. Has flash.
Yeah,
Might be
Swiper's
getting
coming
greedy.
around. Flashes over. He's going to get the passive, and Riptide tears him apart.
And yeah, Bomb definitely getting greedy there with his positioning. Tries to walk out to safety, but Swiper, he's doing a lot of damage on this Nautilus. Speaking of Swiper, as we are going to see the replay, manages to get a fantastic flank here also. Bomb actually making sure Cookie gets knocked up with him.
Yeah, a bit sad.
Which is ultimately what gets him killed. And Bomb's left to retreat as Ryu tries his absolute hardest to make positive trades, but can't dodge this laser. Straight on top of him. And what I was going to suggest here, Swiper could potentially work towards the ZZ Rock quarter build.
Oh, yeah.
He's been quite vocal about enjoying it, thinking it's really strong.
Well, at the moment, it looks like he's picking up the Sunfire Cape, but you don't know that Chain Vest now in his back pocket. Causing doubt in the mind, Rusty.
I think it'll at least be the Sunfire this time around.
Okay. Damn it. I wanted really early ZZ Rot Portal so we could see those little minions. They're adorable.
The major thing as well with the ZZ Rot is it's great on Nautilus, but it's not necessarily great against Quinn. But it's just something to keep in the back of your mind because it's entirely possible.
Oh, Spooks. He's going to find Cookie. Look at the damage out of this Rumble. He burns down the kitty cat. Has to flash out of the way of the rocket there as there's the equalizer, exactly like you said. Denian manages to shield his Nidalee. Chiefs without a big cooldown for a little while.
No, banking on the Jinx ultimate connecting, but Cookie still had his flash after that last fight. Hello.
Yeah, Swiper's going to find Ryu, and he's behind his turret right now. There's the dredge line. Ryu has to be careful. This is what I'm talking about. He's just like, come at me, bro.
That's just a very unique gank position, honestly, from Swiper.
Is that a gank?
No,
he's by
it's
himself.
kind of like a gank because it's not direct lane fighting. I guess it's technically not.
Very weird stuff. But there's the auto attack empowered by Cheese. He did miss the light binding, but does land the Lucent Singularity, as now Swiper is just going to journey back underneath his turret, dodging spears on the way.
Yeah, Swiper's in a commanding position at the moment in this lane, believe it or not. You're banking on that first recall. Of course, Ryu did have most of the control up until that point. Once you get your Balmy Cinder and use the Riptide to instantly clear waves, pretty difficult for Ryu to look at roaming at all and utilizing the Quinn spells. The ultimate means a lot less.
Yeah, especially when, you know, Swiper's able to put down so incredibly fast. Does like to build the Iceborne Gauntlet as well, so a bit more turret damage possibly available later on.
Yeah.
See how he is going to be able to build this one up, but oh, there's the headbutt Pulverize in the bottom lane. This Frey not going to eat the zap.
They're just pressing all of their buttons to recall.
Yeah, seems like it. I've got mana left, guys.
This is weirdly standard support thing where support and AD, they want to go back after a wave. So what they do is try and get as much damage out as they can. Even if it's nothing, they just press all of their buttons to waste their mana.
You may as well.
See, I disagree with that though. Really? Because if you're not doing damage with it, what if someone just happens to be ganking you when you press all of the buttons pointlessly?
Oh, that's a very good point. We do have another tweet. Yuzuki coming in with Swiper feeling naughty. I like it. I like it a lot. Pretty naughty tweet. Yeah. Well, Cookie is going to grab himself Harold's buff. Heads back to base there as well with the empowered recall. Definitely handy. As there's the Raptor Cloak has been completed.
Sold the chain vest for the Raptor?
No, it's part of a Raptor Cloak.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, they changed it, didn't they?
Yeah. Built out of the old Changa's
thought
vest.
so. Yeah, well, there you go.
I like it.
Nice.
Oh, Dredgeline max range there from Swiper as he gets a huge array of burst onto Ryu. He's going to head back to base, of course. Hex Drinker is completed, so a lot of the magic damage of Nautilus going to be mitigated by that one, but you can see, still doing definitely some relevant damage. Swiper's taking up the turret. Has to be careful of his Balmy Cinder sitting in his back pocket, burning down the Quinn, but successfully makes sure Ryu misses that cannon creep. Cheese going to find the combo onto Cookie. Doesn't take him all the way down as Cheese doesn't quite have the items for it just yet, but it's very scary.
Not going to be able to kill Cookie, and I don't think that will change anytime too soon. But Cookie has his completed item, and they do get some nice damage to that middle turret. Depending on what Cheese does now kind of dictates what happens to this middle turret. Or Swiper can just rotate. Yeah, he's got a
wandering. Yep, there's another Dredgeline flash into the binding from Cheese there as well as the ultimate comes down. Swiper's going to lock it in with the auto attack. Ryu teleports, but I'm not even sure whether they want this now as Bomb's going to get stunned. Swiper down to below half. Riptide for massive damage, but it's a fantastic charm onto Cheese in the backline. But he turns it immediately. Spooks grabs it with the equalizer from the offside. As now Cheese just going to try and wander away. Another flash with the auto is going to get Ryu another kill. But it's 6-2, and the Chiefs are just all over the jungle.
The Chiefs are just rotating much more effectively, not necessarily efficiently, because Spooks comes in to clean up the back end of the fight. They've got a Nautilus who's always going to live through it. Lux with a heal and her W prismatic barrier to keep her alive and healthy. So it just gives enough time for Spooks to come in. And this is even with the Chiefs showing the initiative first, hitting Cookie, even Cheese using the flash and missing. They still have enough damage on a Nautilus, believe it or not, to take out the Nidalee. Ryu comes in, and their target selection is always focused on Cheese. They know that they want to kill Cheese, so the second he gets too close, they try and burst him out. But it takes so long, and they're really fortunate that Ryu gets a trade and has his own flash at all, because that could have been a lot worse.
Certainly could have. What I love about this is the Chiefs' trust that they have in each other. Of course, this is a question that we had for Cheese, is sort of how he was going to meld in with the team. And Cheese got caught out by a charm. Looked like he was walking away. Immediately the binding comes through. Swiper's right there to body block for him as well. Definitely, this is the Chiefs that we saw last week that were looking so much better than their previous times.
Yeah, and it's weird to say that it's Spooks doing it on Jungle Rumble.
Yeah, it is very weird to say.
But
of course, I'm a lot more confused because I just didn't know that it was such a thing now.
Yeah, it's honestly mostly
I feel like an old man. You know, like I just don't understand what all of these things are for you young whippersnappers there in the jungle. That sort of stuff.
Just watch the old UK.
Yeah, that's probably what I should do.
Speaking of, Spooks is legitimately just an LCK fanboy right now based on his last two jungle picks. Of course, showing that he has not only watched them play, but has researched how they do it. So credit where it's due, whether it's Spooks or the Chiefs coaching team, making sure that he's effective on it. He is executing quite well.
It certainly is. Of course, the Chiefs have been watching some LCS there as well, as the Zizirot portal has been completed now by Swiper. The binding is going to go wide there onto Bomb, who's just wandering up the lane, wanting to find something here onto Cheese, but he's pretty fast now with that Aether Wisp.
It's just so cute to watch the Zizirot portal. You put it behind your turret, and you leave lane. There's nothing they can do.
Oh, Egypt might have been caught out, but then Bomb discovers that there's so many members of the Chiefs hanging around. Now pushing up this mid lane, 4 members strong. You can see Cookie off to the side, wants to try and lock someone down. Spook's just going to stand on the trap as Swiper makes his way in. 5 people are just going to shove down this mid lane as Ejim goes in. There's the equalizer. Super Mega Death Rocket comes down, but Denian able to try and disengage with that Monsoon. The turret falls as Frey's going to find his way finally into this fight. Ooh, the laser. Oh, Denian deleted.
Wow, Cheese picks up a kill on the back end of that fight. Honestly, a kill that they almost didn't get. Cheese missed about 3 light bindings in a row.
Make it 4.
And hasn't been able to connect with the targets. And that is really unfortunate for the Chiefs because the equalizer was great from Spooks. It was zoning behind the turret, stopped them from being able to retreat. But Helion's are hyper aware of Lux right now. They're looking exactly where these spells are going and dodging them.
Yeah, making sure they can get stuff sorted. Of course, Spooks has tweeted in earlier on as well. I'm looking forward to some tasty cookies tonight.
Well, he's evidently not allergic,
Yeah,
Cookie.
yeah, see, Cookie? Dang it. His strategy. It's all out the window now. Just look at them. They're so cute. That was extra
We
big
have
one there.
different definitions of cute.
What do you mean? Look at them. Little purple guys. Look at them scuttle. They're like, I want to get to the minion wave so bad. Oh, little glowing rhinos. Tiny little baby rhinos.
Well, it's like a rhinoceros beetle, I guess. Yeah, I can pay that.
Yeah.
Of course, they do more damage based off your resistances, which is what makes it so effective on a Nautilus top lane. You just get the Barmy Cinder, have your wave clear item in place, and then whenever you've got the ZZ Rock Portal there, you don't need to lane.
Yeah. Oh, well, geez. Prismatic Barrier's there, but does get hit by the spear from Cookie. As Radier's just like, well, I'm just going to take this top out of turret. Great. Okay.
Yep. They don't need anyone there to protect him. They barely need wards there to keep him alive because they've got knowledge of where Helions are. Of course, Swiper is the one dealing with them in the bottom lane. ZZ Rock Portal dealing with them in the top lane. And Raiders actually hasn't stopped.
No, well, Harpoon actually landing on a bomb, but it's a nice charm. Headbutt Pulverize does go down. Oh, that was close on the life binding there from Cheese. Radiant has moved off that turret though, and Swiper doesn't find the dredge line onto Frey.
That could have been actually quite bad for Frey. He would have taken a lot of damage under that turret. We'll be fine though. And the bottom lane, you'd have to say that turret is inevitable to fall down. Swiper will take a very long time to get down himself, as will the turret if Swipe is defending it. But it is going to go down sooner or later. The Chiefs don't help him.
And we'll see what Hellions are going to do with their bottom lane then freed up after that objective has been taken. You can see, oh, ZZ Rock Portal going to help him out with his wave clear underneath this one as Dredgeline is going to pull that creep in, lock that one down. So Swiper now sending up multiple minions. Look at those tiny little rhinos. Amazing. As there's the light binding. Actually lands this time, but a lot of damage out from Bomb as he's spirit rushing towards Cheese. Does get the flash, as the Ari needs to be respected, especially now with 2 items.
It's one of those Ari things where you hit level 11 and your ultimate is about a 65-second cooldown with a bit of CDR on him. Not entirely sure what it is with his exact CDR right now. But that means it's probably lower than Cheese's Lux ultimate. And it gives you 3 dashes offensively. So the second a light binding is thrown, if you can actively dodge it by using the ultimate and putting damage on a Cheese, probably just going to go.
Yeah, well, definitely looked that way, Rusty. He's going very aggressively there in the mid lane, so flash down for the Lux, which is a big deal considering a lack of mobility. This Bomb is just going to soak it. Doesn't care about lasers at all, apparently.
They also have an Italy to heal them. Oh, there he goes.
Takes away the blue buff. Chiefs. This is what we saw from them quite a long time ago, actually, just moving the vision line up, taking control of the enemy jungle. You can see they've got both buffs up right now, but that's not what matters to the Chiefs at the moment. It's getting that line of vision, making sure that they suffocate their opponents.
It's also hiding Raider because he's pushing objectives, getting farm, but they don't want him to die. The point still remains, and you can see it from the itemization of Helions. Magic damage across the board from the Chiefs. So we mentioned this in the drafting phase. If Raider is dead, it takes an awful long time to kill the Helions. And the Chiefs are banking on him being alive. Helions are banking on him being dead. So what they're doing is hiding him.
Oh, that dredge line at max range. Another massive equalizer. The laser beam. Instant double kill there for Cheese as Ryu trying to get some damage down, but that Harrier not going to do any damage as the inner turret does fall down. Zap was looking for the Quinn. And the Chiefs just on the inhibitor turret. I'm not sure if Hellions are even going to be able to stop this because it's going down so quickly to this Jinx damage. The minigun just tearing things apart. Radiant now, the inhibitor going to go down, and Hellions just can't handle the acceleration of this game.
Not at all, and this comes back to the drafting phase one more time. Helions have no crowd control. They barely have any engaging options. They have disengage on a Janna, but if one of them gets picked, if a Nautilus hits with the hook, if a Lux hits with the binding, even Aegon with the Alistar combo, they can couple their CC, they can back it up, and absolutely destroy Helion's health bars on whoever is caught in that radius. Exactly what they do just there. Quinn's capable of dying, Nidalee's capable of dying, they don't have a tank. And so they don't have a front line against an onslaughting Chiefs roster.
Yeah, this Hellions team comp really looks to rely on getting those picks, catching the Chiefs off guard. But when the Chiefs just want to team fight you, they're all going to be as 5 the whole time. It's feeling like Hellions' abilities to find success in this game are getting slowly more limited as time goes on.
It's just a tactically brilliant execution from the Chiefs, honestly.
Yeah.
The fact that they are hiding Radar, the fact that Spooks is the jungler that is the carry with a Nautilus top lane. So you can gank Swiper, but here's a Nautilus. What's the purpose of that, right?
Yeah.
What is he actually going to achieve besides wasting 20 seconds and probably trading kills?
Oh, Cheese might be caught out here as Bomb's holding onto the charm. Immediately gets it at point-blank range as the Lucent Singularity is still down, slowing the members of Hellions. Another Equalizer in fantastic position as Ryu tries to flash out of the way of the ultimate. Another flash there from Bomb as well as he's trying to escape, and Harpoons can't quite find the Quinn. Chiefs just say, all right, well, we'll just continue pushing.
Yeah, they turn it almost back around. They make it a 1-for-1, and they don't get more members. Of course, Bomb did flash, Ryu also flashing to safety. And the Chiefs showing their team composition off one more time. Hellions banking on that late game. And you're right, banking on a pick to set themselves up. Because if 5 members are alive from the Chiefs, they're an unstoppable force.
And Hellions do have a fantastic way of sort of chaining kills together as well. Like, once they get that snowball rolling, things could have been great. But unfortunately, just hasn't been the case, as inner turret in the top lane is going to fall down. Chiefs now pushing forward with 4 members. Ejim gets caught by the charm, but look, it's the bull and the horns thing, right? Just doesn't really care.
There's also a Rot Portal keeping Ryu busy in the side lane, so this is a very obvious and defined weakness from the Hellions when a Rot Portal is capable to be built. Is that, honestly, Ryu is dead.
Yep, dead. Oh, no! Oh, no, not quite. As he does have the Maw of Malmortius, the shield really helping him out there as the minions might be the ones to finish him off. Flash forward, but doesn't quite find it. Life Binding's going to pick it up in the end as Cheese uses all of his buttons, but does get the kill.
And most importantly, baits the Rot Portal, so finds a pick as Lux. Capitalizing.
And look, Rhinos are still there.
Exactly.
So
capitalizing on the weakness of the Hellions roster is that they are always inclined to split push. They ban away Fiora, which has the team fighting, bottleneck him into Quinn, get a pick, start the Baron.
Well, they have. They're going down quite low, though, but it is going to be secured. Denian now takes a huge amount of burst as Cheese makes his way over. Fate's Call has to be used to get the Janna out of the fight as Bomb just sacrificing a bit of his health by walking over that red carpet. Chiefs heading back to base, but Baron buff now in hand. And they've had control of this game from almost minute 1, apart from maybe in that bottom lane where Frey was playing quite nicely, but just looks like Chiefs got exactly what they wanted this game.
They've given over the Kalista knowing they have a plan in place. That Nautilus priority pick was a big deal to these guys. And once again, I feel like this entire game has been decided from the drafting phase. It did come down to execution from the Chiefs to ensure the drafting meant something.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what they've done. They get a ZZ Rot Portal. Ryu's job on the Hellions roster is essentially void. He has to deal with so much more of an issue in every single side lane he tries to address because Swiper just places the portal down there and then goes and joins his team. The Chiefs, as a 5-man roster, have the best team composition they could hope for.
Well, we'll see whether they get it in game number 2, of course. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, it is a best-of-3 series. Hellions do have the opportunity to try and stop the Chiefs from doing this again. We'll see what they are going to adapt in their draft as we move to game number 2, but we'll see game number 1, which is happening right now, whether they can try and turn something around. Right now, Chiefs with a commanding lead of almost 10,000 gold.
Yeah, and it starts to get really rough here for Hellions again. When you're behind this far with an inhibitor down, 2 lanes left to address. You can't split push as Quinn, so they have to team fight.
Well, Dredgeline goes in. Frey gets caught, and Swiper just immediately gets rid of him. Massive 3-man knock-up, and that spells the final spark out of Cheese. Grabs Denian. Some low health bars now for the Hellions as Ryu trying to get what poke he can down, but you can see another max range Dredgeline out of Swiper. This guy's playing like a beast as the equalizer is going to come in. Radier is going to lock down the kill as Bomb. Now the last point of defense with Cookie just respawning here as well. Chompers go down. Last Nexus turret here for the pickings. We'll see whether the Chiefs are going to be able to shove a minion wave towards it. Don't know whether they really want to kill a Nexus or an inhibitor. They're just
waiting on
grouping up as a
minions.
team. Yeah, exactly right. Ejim triumphantly roaring. You can see there's some respawns in from the Hellions though, but a dredge line comes down again. Monsoon has to be used, but it's not enough to save Denian's life as the Jan is going to fall. Nice charm lands onto Spooks, but they have one thing in mind, and that is the Nexus, which is getting torn apart. The Chiefs with a dominant performance here in game number 1. We'll see whether they can back it up or whether it's going to be the Hellions adapting and moving forward their way. But man, that Chiefs roster, I mean, this is what we've been sort of expecting from game 1s out of the Chiefs, but the way that they handled that draft was so beautiful.
Yeah, and honestly, we watched them play against Infernum and roll them over, and we questioned if it was just a fluke from the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They've dropped games to Avad, but here we go, again against the Hellions.
Yeah, exactly right. But we are going to throw it over to the desk to see whether they can break down that game.
Thank you so much. I certainly hope we can break down that game. That's kind of what we're here for, Atlas. Very good cast on that. But, guys, before we get into analysis, I want to pull up the team comp graphic just onto your screen to remind you guys, because I feel like a lot of the conversation is going to be around this. So, as you can see, Nautilus, Rumble, Lux, Jinx, Alistar. I think that's pretty self-explanatory what that means. On the other side, it is going to be Quinn, Nidalee, Ari, Kalista, as well as Zijana. So, bringing it back to us. I want to talk about the Rumble pick first up, because I like it. Atlas was confused. Froskurun, you know lots about things. Tell me about this Rumble pick.
To make Rumble really, really basic when explaining it, all you need to know is that Runic Echo is going to make him really strong, and he's very low econ. There's 2 different types of champions. There's going to be champions that scale off of items, and there's going to be champions that scale off of levels. And Rumble is one of those ones where his levels mean more necessarily than his items, which makes him perfect for jungle just because, again, you're not getting as much gold as you normally would in a solo lane.
Yeah, and the best thing about Rumble is kind of like Gangplank, that he has a really good fundamental kit that has a lot of things in it, a lot of hidden power.
A lot of control.
Yeah, and then when you give him gold, he gets better. There are certain champions that you give gold to and they just kind of stagnate and they don't do anything. They generally sit in the support role. Rumble, great kit, and then when you give him gold, even better than what he was. And that's what we saw in this game. Now I want to go to the draft as a whole, because we keep saying, Chiefs, they're the champions, very flexible. Hellions, they've got one punch. They throw it really, really hard, and if it hits you, you die. If not, you beat them.
And that's pretty much the story of that game there. Punch thrown, they look for an invade at level 6. Couldn't get it off, couldn't really win their 3v3, and then it was all downhill from there. We talked about Hellions being one-dimensional, and they only have one team comp. They played it. Chiefs knew exactly what to do.
And I really want to quickly touch on kind of what went wrong in that invade. It would have been so much better if they had just invaded, like you were saying, Jake, when the mid laners were level 6 versus the junglers being level 6 and having those ultimate availables. The one thing about Nidalee, she's super potent and powerful right now, but naturally Nidalee's level 6 isn't going to be nearly as much as Rumble's level 6. So I think that was the fundamental error there.
Yeah, it certainly seemed to be the case. And the other thing that worried me is that they threw 2 bans. Obviously, Ryze is gone as well. At Ryu, they picked Nautilus, like, just off the bat. They showed their hand. They're like, this is what we're going to do. In fact, Swiper has been very vocal that he's the best tank, so Ryu must have known it was coming. And the response was something
Quinn.
we've seen before. What does that mean for Hellions at the moment? Because that's not a good response.
Yeah, I mentioned this already. It's just sort of inflexible play from Ryu in general. He is a strong carry player, but he's only shown carries, and Swiper has gone between carries and tanks. Obviously, he's on the Nautilus hype train right now, but the champion's looking good, Swiper's looking great on it, and Ryu really does need to get unlocked for the Hellions to move forward in their games, and when he's only playing one way and he's kind of backed into a corner and has to play Quinn, just feels like he can't get anything going.
Yeah, it certainly did seem to be the case. And what that meant is that Chiefs were able to pick up a Game 1 win. But don't go anywhere, guys. Hellions get a chance to bite back in 3.5. Don't go anywhere.